Right. Hello, my name is Crystal, and I am assuming that you are Deshay.
Yes, Deshae.
Hey, Deshay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm so glad you were able to come join us today um, for this consultation. You were referred over by, I believe, Dominique.
Mm,
Is that names?
Potentially. I'm not sure.
I can't give the last name. Obviously, that'd be
Uh,
violating, privacy and confidentiality. But their name was Dominique, and they didn't mind me sharing that. And they just said that they wanted me to help you out in your journey of learning and growing through adversity. And so I wanted to make sure that we get you in and take care of that.
yeah, well,
So what?
I thank you for getting me in. I'm not sure. Maybe my advisor, his name is Dominique. I'm not sure. I just graduated, and I wasn't very close with the faculty, at my last university. So, that was very frustrating. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that is who Dominique is.
I definitely understand. Well, anyways, whoever Dominique is to you, I'm glad that Dominique referred you over. And I had a similar experience in my graduate program. I was close, and then some that time, you have to grow through adversity, regardless of who it's with. And you never know what people have going on in life, so you just keep pushing, and that's what project management is about. Even when things happen, you have to continue to push through, be flexible, and adapt to the changes that may occur. Um, so let me give you a little bit of backstory with Dominique. You don't know Dominique, but I can still give you Dominique's story, and hopefully it'll touch on some of the things that you may be going through in your journey. And by the way, you said you just graduated. How long ago did you graduate?
Um, what is it now? It's been a couple months. The time starts to run together when you've been in school just back to back. So it's been a few months now, though.
I definitely understand. It's like it's all mushed together. You don't know what's what day is what. Do you experience those sleepless nights?
Yeah, yeah, still, the sleepless nights now are coming from not being able to secure a job, that's really frustrating. So,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully we can help you work on that and get you the proper tools and resources so that you are able to secure a job. What did you say? What did you graduate in? What was your
oh,
degree? And was this?
I have a business degree. I have my MBA. So you would think, right? Easy enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But you know what? Um, I'm learning, and I've learned that you have to pair that with something else. Like, yeah, nowadays, a undergrad degree is like a diploma. Everybody has it. So you have to find something that really sets you apart. And the reason why I started this consultation business and learning and growing through adversity is I realized that just having that degree is not enough. You have to have something that sets you apart from the rest of the people in the pool trying to obtain work as well. And I found project management is that is where it's at. And you won't even realize after we go through um, the different topics that we're going to discuss that you've been doing project management all along and everything that and everything that you're doing, and that's what really excites me and excited me through my journey, just learning how much project management really ties into our everyday life. Like, have you planned a party? Do you have any children?
I do. I have one child. Yeah, a little boy. He's 6. Let me tell you, just recently, this is going back a
Oh,
little bit, but just recently, I have been sending him to school with like money for lunch, right? And guess what he was spending that money on?
what was it?
Chips and ice cream. Oh, anyway, sorry, that's just a side note. But yes, I do have a kid. Yes.
Way. So, like, did you have to manage that? Like, what was the recourse? Like, what do you mean he was spending money on chips and ice cream? Like,
So I've tried to manage my money. When I told you I've been struggling trying to get a job, but I've been trying to manage my money.
yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah.
manage, just having this child in general, he
Mhm.
doesn't know any better. So I have to
Mhm.
manage, my emotions and how I, react to him and this situation. So yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of managing going on for sure.
Yeah, and it, for sure. And now I'm like, I really hope we really need to get on the ball and help you find an opportunity because if you have a 6-year-old that's just very unruly, I'm sorry, that is just doing things like that, that is, whoop, we're all trying to manage out here, manage our life and manage our situations. But I will say to give him grace, and that's what we have to practice in everything in life. Give people grace, in
Yep.
any and everything that you do. Um, because people come from different backgrounds, they have different struggles going on, and they may wear a smile on their face, but you never know what they're going through. Give that little boy some grace. And it sounds like you're really already doing that. But what I was getting at is I'm sure you've had to plan birthday parties for him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We just did a big one like last week or so. And it was at Chuck E. Cheese. So yeah. Man, it was a lot that went into that.
Yeah, did you know that was project management?
Really? I
It
never thought
is.
much about project management. I only hear, scope and budget and time and stuff. So I never thought much about it.
You had to budget, right? You had to budget how much you were going to spend at Chuck E. Cheese. I'm sure he wanted a pizza probably, or he wanted to play. You had to budget the time, the
Everything.
schedule. Exactly. So all of those steps that goes into that, that's project management. You managed that project, and I'm sure he enjoyed it, so didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. It was a success.
Wow. That's amazing. So I don't want to hold you too long now, knowing that you have a 6-year-old. Do you have to go get him from school, or is he
No. He will be dropped off. The bus will get here soon.
okay?
So yeah, I do have probably about 30 minutes or so. So
Okay, 30 minutes. Well, you know what? I'm not one to be long-winded and talk. I like to get right to the point. I'm glad we're able to make this introduction and just get to know a little bit about you, Deshay. So again, for the last time, I just love learning and growing through adversity. So we're going to talk about some of the principles for project management, and you're going to hear me refer to them as PMI principles. And what that is Project Management Institute principles. And when we get off of here, I'm going to send you a link to their website. It's a very good resource. And anything that we look through here as well, I'll send you the physical copies. If it's something that you that grabs your attention, please feel free to stop me while I'm talking, because again, I know you're on time. We don't want to keep you here too long, so I'm just going to keep going. But if anything that is like, hey, stop me, just say, hey,
okay.
stop, clarify that, and let's talk a little bit more about it. Okay.
Okay, will do.
All right, so we are going to technology. And that's one thing I'm sure you already know that with business, technology can be funky. Okay. So first, PMI principle that I'm going to go over is stewardship. And what stewardship is taking responsibility for the resources entrusted to a project and using them to benefit the organization, community, and society. What this is about managing resources responsibly, making ethical decisions, and ensuring that a project's benefit extend beyond the immediate stakeholders. And so let me give you an example. So in my project management experience, and this is just about the last part about making sure that extends beyond the immediate stakeholders. You have different stakeholders. And what you will learn if you do venture on into the project management world, um, with different stakeholders, they're going to have different values, they're going to have different wants, different needs, interest and influence on a project. And so you have to make sure you're paying attention to who carries high influence, but also you want to make sure that you are listening to your stakeholders and make sure that they feel valued, because regardless of the interest and influence that they carry, they are important, and we want to make sure that they know they are important because they add something valuable to that project. Um,
So
and
I have a
so,
question. Sorry,
yeah,
I know maybe
absolutely.
you'll touch on this later, but
Yeah.
how do you make them feel important? How do you make them feel like they have value?
Well, for me, I like to be an active listener. Um, I let them express themselves without interruption. I want to make sure whatever they have to say, they are able to get that off their chest. And I'll give you an example. And I will touch on this later on, but hey, this is the time now that it's fresh on your brain. So let me just address it. Um, I have a group of stakeholders that I work with. They're older women, retired, and they like everything done to the T. They like to do well informed. They like to plan for their schedule very well in advance. I mean, like months in advance if they're working on a project. And recently there was an issue where they had some conflicts, I guess personality conflicts with another one of the stakeholders. And they just wanted to talk. You know, they wanted to be heard. They wanted me to hear them. And although I already had some back knowledge, I didn't say anything. I just listened, and I was that ear for them to express exactly how they felt. And before I brought a solution. So I like to be a leader that I don't just lead thinking that, oh, well, I'm the leader, I make the rules, we have to do it this way.
Mm.
I like to lead in a way to where it benefits the project, it derives business value, but also it's bringing value to the stakeholders. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. So just being an active listener and making sure that I am incorporating their wants, but as to an extent where it's benefiting the business value.
So how did you measure like the value, like the success? Like how did you measure how much value you feel like you brought to them?
To them. Well, me personally, I know when my stakeholders are happy. I can tell when they're happy. I like I said, they are a key. They play a crucial role in the project, and them not being happy is not good. So know when they're happy, but at the same time, I like to periodically do surveys, and send out certain things, and I ask.
Okay.
I'm not shy. I ask, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything that I can be doing better? Because although I am the project manager, without them, project will not survive. So I ask them,
Right.
hey, is there anything that we could be doing better? Is there anything I could be doing better? Are you happy? And we have an environment, an open environment for open communication and open dialogue. So if there's anything they're not happy with, oh, trust me, they will let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm sorry.
No interruption at all. I love the questions. Yeah, I love it. I feel like for me, asking questions is how I remember things, and so that's amazing. And so before I move on from stewardship, I just want to tell you a little bit more about a plan I developed with those stakeholders that I was speaking about. And let me just clarify. So they are what's called master gardeners. Have you ever heard of that?
No, never heard of that.
Me either before I started working in this position. And when I first heard about it, they said master gardener. Like, I'm not a gardener. Why am I going to be in a position like this? But I'm so glad that I took it on and I'm able to manage the projects because it's so much deeper than that. We get to dive into the community and in helping underserved communities and sharing education with them as far as sustainability practices that they could be taking, and things like that. So, what I was getting at was, for stewardship, I developed a sustainability management plan for my community garden projects where I'm so sorry, where stewardship played a key role. And in that project, I was tasked with ensuring that the garden's development not only met the immediate needs of the community, but that it also was sustainable, like I said, in the long term. So that's what we're big on, making sure we're creating sustainability. And so with that, I had to manage resources like funding, materials, human capital, effectively. And this meant making cost-effective decisions and ensuring the garden project could thrive without depleting the surrounding ecosystem. And so, with that, again, I mentioned a sustainability management plan. And I
Mhm.
don't know if you can, I wanted to share my screen so while we're talking, you can, have a visual of some of the things. Now, every slide is not going to have something
Oh,
there. But
Okay.
just know that when I'm talking through it, a lot of the things they tie in, and that's the beauty of project management. Everything is connected and it ties in. So where I might show an example here of a sustainability management plan under stewardship, I'll talk about it later on in some of the other principles and then just refer back to that. And if you need a visual, let me know and I can just come back to this slide, okay?
So are all three of these the are parts of the sorry, I'm
I'm
just a
sorry.
little confused.
Sorry, no, just the first two. So
Oh,
are you
the
able to see my mouse? So right here, that's and it's not, this is not the entire sustainability management plan. And as I mentioned in the beginning, after this, if this is a document that you want, I can
okay.
send you the entire document to review further. But yeah, this is just part of it. How it starts out, asking the purpose, the approach, and then some KPI, which is key performance indicators.
Mhm.
And this is for people and planet. So that's part of it. And over here in this third document, that is actually a part of my leadership growth paper. And that's a document I did in one of my favorite professors' class. And we had to do a leadership growth paper just to talk about our growth throughout the program and how our leadership grew, because a very important part of project management is being an effective leader. Let me tell you right now, one size does not fit all. And you cannot expect, like how I say I have stakeholders right now, how I can manage this type of way. I may not be able to do that with the next group of stakeholders I work with, but I try to make sure that my principles are always aligning and staying the same. And then I'm adapting to whoever that I'm working with.
Mhm.
So yeah, so this one over here is my leadership growth paper. And one key example from my paper illustrates stewardship, and it shows us when I was implementing an eco-friendly composting system, I had to and I had to I'm sorry, I had to implement stewardship. So I didn't just look at the short term goal of project or financial benefits. I considered the environmental impact that it has. So
Mhm.
as project managers, we must ensure that we are making sustainable practices. And what that means is we have we have a project, and the project has a goal that the work, maybe the clients, they want a specific thing done, but we must evaluate all aspects of that project and ensure that the practices that we are making are sustainable practices, and that it does not negatively affect the environment or the people living in that in the community to where we are implementing that project.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Sometimes, you forget about the people, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, it's easy, right? It's hard to think beyond ourselves and think about others. It's easy just to think about something like, hey, I'm gonna get, thinking about the financial, what they're gonna get from it, other than thinking about like how is this really gonna affect the people. And so we as project managers, we must be mindful and be aware and make sure that we are looking out for each other and looking out for everybody, the community, the people, and as well as, producing business value. Do you have any more questions before I move on from stewardship?
I think we're good. And sorry, hopefully you don't mind. I'm taking notes.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I love that. Um, you'll be on your way in no time. I can feel it. Okay. So next I'm going to go on to team. And we touched on that a little bit when I was talking about stakeholders, but team is very important. There's no I in team. And so PMI defines this as building and maintaining an effective project team that works collaboratively to deliver the project's objectives. The idea is to bring together diverse skills and perspectives to ensure a well-rounded approach to problem solving and project delivery. Um, I'm sure you've worked on teams before.
Yeah, I have a lot of experience, like, as I don't want to say a kid, but growing up like sports teams and teams in
Okay.
school and so forth. But as far as like working on teams, Would do you think I would be a good project manager if I prefer to work alone or, like how does that play into being um, on a team or like I understand there's no I in team, but sometimes I just really like to work alone.
Okay. I had to take a sip of water for that because, and the reason why is because I like working alone, and I used to have this mindset like if I just do this, I'll get it done and it's going to be done right. Like versus if I have a team, it's going to be too much confusion. But what I've learned is it's the tone, right? How you set the dynamics for the team. I don't want to say that you wouldn't be good fit for project management, but you do have to work in teams. Like not seeing a project where you can just you don't want to put that on yourself, you know? There are so many moving pieces to a project, and you need those specific people that have the expertise and the skill set for each part of the project, right? So that everybody can do their part and then come together um, with all their pieces and complete the puzzle. If that
So
does that make sense?
yeah, but okay, so I know you said that also have felt like that before where you prefer to work alone, but have you ever had to like lead a team where people didn't want to be a part of a team and like how did
Oh,
that
absolutely. 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 In my time in the military, I definitely had that a lot. You have people with you have very diverse teams. You have so many different personalities. Everybody wants to be the leader, but nobody wants to do the work, right? And then when, one person comes up and say, "Hey, this is what we need to do," then you have people that are opposing. So, definitely. And I stay with this mindset in since I was in the military and outside. It's one team, one fight. We're all trying to work to get one to complete the goal, right?
Mhm.
So we must work together. And you know, I find that I'm really good at conflict resolution. That's one of my strong suits. So you're gonna have people where conflict is gonna arise, but it's just about how you handle it. And I'm big on it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So you can appeal to anyone as long as you come with the right approach. And that's in project management, it is very important to evaluate the situation and make sure that you are coming in with the right approach based on the project needs.
So what are the documents on this page?
Yes. So I just pulled a couple of screenshots from what is called a team charter. And in project management, it's important for your team to have a team charter to understand the roles, background of your team, what the responsibilities of the team members are going to be, deliverables, schedule. I didn't have everything on here. Again, if that's a document that you want me to send after, I'll send with all the details. But as far as this one, just want to give you a couple snippets to see what it entails. If you see here, um, it has deliverables, and the team will continue to meet and collaborate on the course deliverables. Yada, yada, yada. You could read the rest. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but it shows the deliverable and then it gives the period. So, this is the time period when we're going to initial and reviewing period. And then this is when we have it set final submission. And please, 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 please understand that things change. Deadlines can change, not deadlines, but yeah, that things just know we want to stay on a timeline, but we have to keep an open mindset, a growth mindset to know that things can change and be flexible and be able to adapt to those changes.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more on that later on. So, just to give a little bit, so this is again, it's a team charter, and in my role on management of the team charter, I focus heavily on team processes and collaboration. My team for this example was a very diverse team with members from different functional backgrounds. And my responsibility was to ensure that we communicated effectively, very important, and that each member understood their role. Um, I used the work breakdown structure and to define roles and make sure that they are clear. And so this just it's ensured that everyone understood what they were responsible for and how their work fits into the larger project. And that's what I was telling you when you said, do I have to work in teams? Listen, um, you have a large project. You want to make sure you're able to divvy those roles down, so everybody can know what they're responsible for, and then kind of bring the puzzle pieces together for the larger project. Do you have any questions on teams?
No, I think Teams is pretty self-explanatory. Unless you had any additional, like, we kind of talked about um, difficult teams, but like, do you have any like examples of like a great experience working on a team?
Oh, absolutely. The team I'm working with now, they are amazing. Like I said, they have differences in there. There's some conflict, but resolution is amazing.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I enjoy working on this team. I love the collaboration and seeing where each of our skills and each of our backgrounds can tie into each other. And like I was telling you, so what we do is we serve underserved communities, and everyone has their different areas. So you have some people that work in health and human services. You have some people that work in business development. You have some people work in family community health. Some people that work with like SNAP Ed and different things like that. And then you have some people that work in horticulture, agriculture. And it's just amazing to see how all of those different areas, because you're like, what is going on? And they all come together in an extension office and play an integral role in serving underserved communities. We all have that mission and that goal, to make sure that we are touching the community. And so, like I said, the collaborations are just it's amazing to see, um, and how we're really serving the community and making a difference is amazing.
Perfect. You sound like you're really passionate about it.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, for sure. And you will find on different projects, you will find a passion in it, and what touches you for what you really want to do. So definitely. Are we good on teams? Can we move
Yep.
forward?
On
All right.
Teams, we can keep going.
Amazing. Now let me know if we're going too long or if we're running off on your schedule, okay?
Okay.
All right. So now we are, and you see, this should be shorter because we already talked about stakeholders. So number three, stakeholders. At this point, I'm sure you have a clear understanding of what stakeholders are. But I'll just go over what PMI defines stakeholders as really quickly. So is defined as individual groups or organizations that may affect or be affected by a project's outcome. Effective stakeholder management is essential for ensuring that a project's objectives are met and its benefits are realized. So let me click over here. I'll move slow here. Yes. So we talked on stakeholders for as far as these are the individuals who they're critical in the project. They make up the project. They're the ones who like for example, the project that I work on, the volunteers. We have an organization, but we cannot do it without our volunteers. They're the ones who are not they're not getting paid. Um, they're doing all of this for free. And it's just because they're passionate about serving the same mission and the same goal that we are serving. Um, and so I have an example right here. What this is a stakeholder register. It doesn't show the entire thing, but again, if this is a document that you would like to see in large spectrum, I can send it to you.
And what did
And
you say
so
it was called?
this is the stakeholder register.
Um, what's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. It houses all the stakeholders. So for this right here, this was a project that I was working on. It was a Heathrow Terminal 5 case study that I was working on with my team. And we had to identify the stakeholders. We had to identify their requirements, expectation, different things, their levels of interest, influence. Like I said, this is actually just a screenshot from a spreadsheet because it is so big and it encompasses so much. But this will be a very good tool for you, your stakeholder register, because you will have stakeholders um, join the project after it begins. You get, like I said, you get new stakeholders, the same stakeholders, their interests and their influence will change. And you need this document so that you can continue to update and effectively manage your stakeholders and their engagement on the project, et cetera.
Oh yeah, that sounds very useful.
Yeah. So with this document right here, again, this was from a project I did. It's called the Heathrow, I'm sorry, Terminal 5 case study project. And so what happened here is we created a stakeholder register that identified all the key players, whether that's internal stakeholders or external. For example, this was an airport case study. So internal stakeholders would be like the baggage, plane workers, executive stakeholders, TSA, and external will be like the customers.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, so yeah, so we identified the key players and documented their interests, influence, and level of engagement. Again, this tool helped me tailor my communicate myself and my team. Again, there's no I in team. Tailor our communication and engagement strategies for each stakeholder group. And so, for instance, I knew construction will impact local communities for the Heathrow, but I ensured that concerns were addressed early on in the project through this stakeholder register.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Any questions?
No, sorry, I may have to tell someone to get my son off the bus. We're running a little bit on time.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. About
No,
how
it's
long do
fine.
you Okay, awesome. Okay. So yeah, just reflecting on this last one, we'll go right on to the next. This stakeholder engagement, it related and aligned with the PMI principles of understanding stakeholder impact and effectively again managing their expectations. And that is really big with project management. You want to make sure that they are happy. You can't please everybody, but you can't do everything that they want you to do because again, some stakeholders, their wants or their needs does not align with the business value and what the project is doing, but you want to make sure that you keep them happy. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Oh, I like that.
You like it?
Yeah.
Okay. So on to the next, value. And remember, you were asking about value earlier. We touched on that, on how I measure value.
Yeah.
So, yes. So PMI defines value as the benefits a project delivers relative to its costs and the efforts involved in completing it. Essentially, it's about ensuring the project achieves outcomes that justify its investment, both, both tangible and intangible. Okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I need to make sure that something was still going. Technology is so finicky and so funny. I was like, we got to make sure it's still working. Okay. Anyways, moving right along. So, for example, in my community garden sustainability management plan, I define value not just in financial terms, but I also I defined it as of the social and environmental benefits it brought to the local community. Um, this included promoting healthy eating, fostering community engagement, and supporting local biodiversity. And these long-term benefits were just as significant as the immediate project deliverables. I think it's important as project managers, again, that we don't just focus on the immediate gain. We want to know how is this going to affect long-term. And there was a course that I took in my project management program, sustainability. It was about sustainability practices. And something that stuck with me is said that we are not living in this world for us or for today, it's for the future generations. And that is so important to keep in mind because it's not just about us. It's about the future, the people living in it. We're not just living for ourselves, basically, is what it was saying.
Okay.
Yeah. And this document, are you still able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So on this screen, I do have what is a risk management plan. And this is for one of the projects I worked on. It's a Makiana Well project. And it highlights how assessing and mitigating risks are crucial to ensuring the value of the project. And this is done by proactively addressing environmental risks and managing potential disasters to protect the long-term value of the project for both the company and the surrounding community. So, as you
Okay.
can see, we have some critical success factors, findings, and then analyzing it. We have our analysis, and then we have a recommendation here. And then all of this is derived based on evidence. So we want to make sure that we're evidence based. We're not just coming up with stuff just because we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence, doing our research, and making sure we're evidence based. Do you have any questions with value? I don't want to sit on that one for too long. It is important, but I know we briefly, like we discussed it earlier. That's why everything ties in together with project management.
Yeah, I think no, I think I'm good on value. I was, obviously the way that I'm assessing this is that value will be measured differently for each project. Is that
Oh yeah.
true?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Value will be measured differently for different projects. Value will be measured differently for different people, for different stakeholders. It'll be based, it's a case by case basis. In project management, one size does not fit all. So based on the project, value will be measured different. And
Okay.
do you need me to give an example on that, or is that
Oh,
kind of
sure. If you have one, yeah.
okay? So like for example, even within the volunteers that I'm working with now, um, I had a project where we did like a little mini entomology camp. And
Okay.
initially I'm looking at it like, wow, this was not a great success. But for me, I'm measuring value based on the numbers. Like, okay, we didn't have a great turnout. Like we wanted about 50 people to come out. We had about 25 people come out. So to me, I'm saying, wow, okay, um, this was not good. The value was not good. But for the people that were delivering the content, in their eyes, it was a great turnaround. It was a great success. They were able, the people, the value for them was who they were able to touch. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're more so of a, well, my cup is not half empty, it's half full. So although I wanted to have 50 or more people come out, the 25 that came out, they made it a good experience for them and made sure that they gained knowledge and they were able to leave there well equipped. So that it was a success for them. The value was spot on for them. So that's an example. I don't know if that's a good example
Yeah,
or
no, that was good.
yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so wow, just part four. We're almost not there, but um, I'm keeping in mind that you have to get your son off the bus. All right,
Oh, I'm
moving right along.
sorry. Someone's going to pick them up. So we have a little bit more time. But I also know that you told me you had a meeting after me. So I don't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, but let me tell you something. I have a meeting after you, but it's all about you. This is about you. I want the best for you, and I want you to have the best experience moving forward, and I want you to, be well equipped for new opportunities. So it's about you.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
No worries at all.
I feel
Okay,
valued.
you do? See, that's what it's all about. That is exactly what it's all about. I'm so excited to hear that. Um, okay, so the next one is systems thinking. And what this is to PMI is the ability to see the interrelatedness of all project parts and how they influence each other within the broader environment. This principle encourages looking at the bigger picture, recognizing that a project is part of a more extensive system and understanding the impact of each component within that system. So, do you kind of see what I mean by everything is connected? Are you kind of seeing that in what we're
Yeah,
going over, how everything is
yeah.
connected?
It's about the
Yeah.
bigger picture, right?
It's
Yeah.
about the big exactly. And each principle and each part, it just reminds us that it's about a bigger picture and we have to make sure we're continuing to be mindful of that. Okay, so for me systems thinking was crucial in my community garden project. I used a life cycle assessment to evaluate the project's long-term impact on the community and the environment. This approach required me to analyze not just the immediate steps, like land preparation and planting, but also the long-term sustainability of the garden. It involved considering environmental factors, community needs, and resource availability at every project stage. In doing this, I identified key interconnections and potential impacts that could influence the project's success. For example, I recognized that soil health and water management in the garden were interconnected, like they were directly aligned. Without one, you can't have the other. You can
Oh
have
yeah.
soil, but if you don't have the water system, then nothing is going to grow.
So it was like dependencies and stuff.
Dependence. Exactly. Yep. So they were interconnected. And so improving soil quality could reduce water usage, supporting sustainability goals. So, yes. And this holistic view allowed me to make informed decisions, balancing immediate needs with long term environmental and social impacts. If you take a look right here, this is not the entire thing, but I just took a few snippets from this is called a life cycle assessment.
Okay.
And that's what I used for my community garden project to evaluate and make sure that it was following that system thinking principle. In my life cycle assessment, you will see here there's a background of my sustainability project, the purpose, who is the intended audience, because like one size, like I said, one size does not fit all. You need to know who your intended audience is so that you can adapt and adjust adapt and adjust based on that, right? What do they want? What is success to them? What is value to them, right? And then we're adjusting to make sure that we're producing that value. Our deliverables are meeting their needs. Um, Functional unit, system boundaries, impact. This is a bunch of stuff that you probably are like, what is she talking about? And they're not important to go in depth right now. Just the main principles. And then we could, follow up later on that. If you are, I don't know what we'll get into that. I get kind of so excited and get beyond myself. So I want to make sure I'm staying right here. Do you have any questions on system thinking?
No. I might dive into the life cycle assessment afterwards, but I don't have any initial questions now.
Amazing. All right, so we are going to move right along to leadership. PMI defines leadership and project management as the ability to influence others to not achieve project objectives. It's about guiding teams, making decisions, and inspiring others to reach common goals. Leadership directly influence the success of a project by shaping dynamics, setting expectation, and motivating others. So I know earlier we were talking about this when I was talking about my leadership growth paper, and how my leadership has evolved throughout the program I took at Arizona State University. And what you'll notice is, regardless of being in project management, I'm sure you've seen through different experiences and different things you've done, how your leadership has kind of adjusted to what situation you're going through at that time. Um, Leadership is hands down, to me, the most important aspect of project management. Being an effective leader is very important, because you can have a leader that is just doesn't care, and it shows. It shows based on how the team operates, and then you have another leader who really cares about the project and really cares about their team, and again, it shows. So leadership can either be the downfall or the whatever the opposite word of downfall is of a team. Yeah.
So I do have a question, and so as far
Mhm.
as leadership, I feel like I have a preferred style of the way that I lead. Do you find that you do? And if so, does it work? I know you were saying like, um, I don't know if we got to it yet, but does it work for all scenarios? And then have you ever like, what was your best leadership experience and kind of your toughest?
Okay. That's an amazing question. And it seems like, did you give me a four-part question?
Yeah, you know what? You could condense it as best you can.
No, 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 no. Because it was an amazing four-part question. And so, um, one leadership style doesn't, in my experience, does not work, right? So I think I've learned, well, not I think, but I've learned that, and you can have many different leadership styles, if that makes sense. So, um, and so if in one setting you're using, let's say, one leadership style here or two leadership style here, in the next setting you'll have to adjust it because you'll be working with different people. It'll be a different tone, a different environment. And you can take that same leadership style over there, but you may have to adjust it and add on a different leadership style based on who you are working with. I take a proactive leadership role. In the projects I do, I know in one of the projects, for example, my community gardens project, I'm very proactive in my leadership style. And I also like to implement shared leadership. So I know we talked in the beginning about teams. I'm big on shared leadership. I want everybody to feel like feel like I want everybody to have some accountability and feel like that they are playing an integral in the project. So with shared leadership, it gives people like, okay, if this fails or if this part does not get completed, it will fall back on me. And knowing it, they are very important to the project. Um, so that's my favorite one. And honestly, with every project I do, I try to incorporate shared leadership style with some other leadership styles. But I go back to my military experience where I was not able to, I was not able to integrate all the way to share leadership with everyone. And I also had to take an approach where, like, okay, this is what we're doing. I had to be a little bit more aggressive with my leadership style just because we'll go the whole day, instances where we'll go and it's like, okay, this did not get done. And that type of environment, um, upper leadership will work you until the job is done. So you can be there. They don't care if you was there from 6 a.m. You could be there till 9 p.m. or midnight or until the job get done. So sometimes, in that environment, it's like, hey, okay, I can't just okay let people be. No, we're doing this. This is what we have to get done. Like right now, because I can't be. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And you'll find some environments where you do have to take a different approach than what you are comfortable with taking or not comfortable or what you're used to taking based on who you're working with. Yeah. So and also we talked about the work breakdown structure earlier. Um that's good with leadership. You need to know how is the work being divvied down, how are the tasks being divvied down.
I'm
Um
sorry, when did we talk? I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I can't remember when we talked about the work breakdown structure. I'm sorry.
I'm
Which
sorry.
which one was it?
The work, would you like me to go back to show?
Yeah, yeah, sorry. So when I go back, I just know which one.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry, Deshay. Did I not have that for you? You know what?
You can
I
just send
am
it to me.
so sorry. It was in another PowerPoint I had, and I edited yours specifically based on entry level
Oh, okay.
project. And
So
yeah, just going
what
over
is
the
the
basic. I'm sorry.
and so I know you were talking about it just now, but like what is that? What is the work breakdown structure?
So work breakdown structure, it's just it's a breakdown package of the different tasks at a high level that has to be done. So let me do you mind if I pull it up and show you, or do you just want me to send it to you later?
I mean, if you have it queued up, you can show me,
Yeah.
but I don't want you to have to like, go through screens and so forth. Like you can just send it to me afterwards and we can just go
Okay.
to the next part.
You know what I'll do? I'll just put together everything that we went over and I'll send it to you in a little folder so that you
Okay,
can refer back to. Does that
perfect.
sound good?
Great.
Okay. Oop. I'm so sorry. What in the girl, things are popping up and I don't know why. Ooh, ooh,
Oh,
ooh. Oh my. Oh, I am so sorry. Can you see the screen again now, or what are you seeing?
yep. I was always seeing the screen.
The slideshow screen. Do you see
Oh,
that?
yes, it is. I like this.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. Alrighty then. Well, so did you have any other questions or did you want me to dive down? Did you get the work breakdown structure and how does that work with the whole breaking it down into smaller pieces and, you know,
Yeah. It's you said for entry level, like, from a high level, you gave me an understanding of it. And again, I can dive into it later. So thank you.
all right, this hey, look, like I said, we're on your time. So anything that you need me to dig deeper or go into, I don't mind.
I'm okay. You can go to the next part.
All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Looks like my screen's a little frozen. Can you see it? Okay. All right. So the next one is tailoring. So PMI defines tailoring as adapting the project management approach to meet the project's specific needs. Tailoring is essential because every project is unique. And as a project manager, we need to adjust methodologies and tools to suit each project's unique characteristics and challenges. So this is just another word. Everything is about synonyms, antonyms, and not just with project management, but you'll notice like a lot of words mean the same thing, right? Tailor, and that's the same thing I've been saying with being able to be flexible and adapting the project based on the needs, right? We have to be able to adjust based on our environment, who we're working with, and what the project's business value and our deliverables should be. Does that one really make sense? I mean,
Yeah,
I
that
with the
one.
sustain. Oh, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it makes sense. I know you have been talking about basically tailoring throughout the whole thing here. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And also with the sustainability management plan I was talking about earlier for community gardens, that shows tailoring because I had what basically I'm saying is I tailored the project management approach by selecting sustainability focused practices and tools for that and integrated environmental impact assessments and stakeholder engagement methods specific to the type of project. And then I used what's called an environmental impact assessment to ensure the garden was designed aligned with sustainable development goals. And similar to I also had a P5 impact analyst, and I had to tailor that with using the methodology that focused specifically on the social and environment aspects of the project it was community based. And instead of using a standard impact analysis framework, I adapted it to the unique needs of the garden. So that goes back to where I said tailoring and adapting. Same thing. We want to make sure we're tailoring and adapting to make sure it fits for our stakeholders and the broader community that we are working in or that the project is impacting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tailoring is just like, can you tailor something that doesn't have a set standard or norm, or like, do you only tailor something that has a set way of doing something? Like, when does tailoring come into place?
So I'm kind of not understanding your question, but what I will say is tailoring, you can tailor anything. Regardless if it's a set standard or it's not a set standard, anything can be tailored. So if you use a lot of things with project management, what my director likes to say is you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right?
Hmm.
Why do something all the way from scratch if it's already been done and it works? Just adjust it and adapt it and make it fit your project. So it helps me manage specific project challenges. Um, or adapting communication plans, any concerns with environmental impact. So it's very it's wide, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So you can do it in any instance. Cool.
any instance, definitely. It is advisable. Don't just be doing stuff and doing it the same way. Evaluate your project and find out how you can change it to fit the need. Yeah.
Okay, we can go to the next part.
All righty. Like I said, we're on your time. I want to make sure that you
Yeah.
understand.
Next part.
All righty. All right. So moving right along. Let's
And quick
see.
question, I'm sorry, how many parts
Oh,
is it?
let me just take a look here. Give me one. You said how many parts? Right. So you know what? I actually condensed this one for
Oh,
you.
okay.
Um, so it should not be as long. I believe we're on part 8 and
Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just was wondering how much longer I needed to tell the person I was gonna be.
it should okay, like 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay. You can start part 8. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right, and thank you for your patience as well, because you did not have to come in.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so part 8, quality. And PMI defines quality as a degree to which a project fulfills the needs for which it was undertaken. Quality management and project management is about ensuring that the project meets its objectives, satisfies stakeholders, and delivers the expected outcome. So I love I was just telling someone today, I said, quality over quantity.
Mm,
Um, I mean, you can have, and this goes back to the example I was giving earlier about value. Or with stakeholders. And yeah, I don't know, I can't recall if it was stakeholder or value, but I was when you were asking me about value in an instance where value was looked at or in a different way. And I said, well, the stakeholders, they saw that it was the value was high. Like there was complete value that they had a very successful program in. But to me, I felt like at that moment, like, well, I wanted 50, 75 to 100 to 1,000 people to come out, and only 25 people came out. So this is a flop to me, not even looking at the big picture of the quality programming that was delivered and how many lives were touched and how many people were well informed when they left there. And maybe that was what needed to happen anyways, because with that smaller group of people, they were able to have an intimate setting and they were really able to that interaction, that personable interaction. Um, yeah, look in hindsight, 2020, it was amazing. And quality over quantity is very important. And just to give a little bit more insight on that, in my sustainability management plan for the Community Gardens project, I integrated quality management practices by ensuring that every aspect of the garden, from soil quality to plant selection, met sustainability standards. I use what's called a quality assurance, and I'm sure you've heard of that because
Mhm.
that's not something that's just with project management.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I used a quality assurance plan to monitor the implementation of sustainable practices, such as using native plants that require less water and fertilizer. This ensured that the project not only met environmental standards, but also fulfilled the long-term sustainability goals for the community. Additionally, in my risk management plan and assessment plan for, I spoke on earlier, the Macchiano Well project, um, I apply quality assurance activities by continuously monitoring project risk. I'm evaluating the effectiveness of mitigation strategies, adjusting plans as necessary. I don't know, are you familiar with the Macchiano Well project?
Yes.
Yes, what do you know about that project?
Uh, um, a well exploded or something, and yeah,
Yes. And there were so many steps in between where that could have been mitigated, like,
yeah,
it could have, the effect of it could have been, lower than what it was. But so many steps were ignored by higher level executive, higher leadership. They ignored the warnings from the lower leadership and the safety saying like, hey, this isn't there's something bad, da da da. Even after it happening, nobody still want to take accountability for it. So that's why I'm really big on quality over quantity and making sure that I'm implementing those quality assurance um plans to make sure I'm monitoring because I don't want that on my watch. And do keep in mind that some things are inevitable. You can't plan for everything and you can't uh so don't take everything personal. Like things happen, but it's just how we manage the risk and manage the project overall. So, for example, when potential environmental risks were identified, I worked with the team to implement additional safety measures, ensuring the quality of the project outcomes were not compromised. And by integrating these quality principles, I ensured that the community garden and Macchiano Well projects met stakeholder expectations and provided lasting value. So you see, stakeholder value. Yeah.
got
All right. Any questions on this?
no.
All right, awesome. All right. Next, we are going to go on to complexity. Give me one moment while I pull up my slide over here. Everything just wants to keep going on over on the wrong side. Technology is not my friend today. But guess what? You are. No. Yeah, so complexity. When PMI defines complexity as a degree of difficulty involved in a project, often influenced by scope, technology, and external environmental factors. Um, hmm, sorry, something came up on the other side. I think the next person is here, but let me just give them a ring at the front to let. Just give me one moment. Let me let them know at the front that we are about 30 minutes left here and then give me a moment. Okay. Sorry about that. I did go ahead and let them know. All right, so I was talking, oh, complexity, yes. So refers to the degree of difficulty involved in a project, often influenced by scope, technology, and external environmental factors. Factors. Sorry about that. My tongue is getting tied. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so in my experience, managing complexity is about understanding the different layers of a project and breaking them down into manageable pieces for For instance, in a recent project where I worked on implementing a new customer centered system for my organization, the complexity came from having to coordinate between IT, from the customer support team, and other employees that worked within that project. Um, I'll give you a little pop quiz. Do you mind?
Yes. I don't do well on quizzes. I'm sorry.
Well, not really a pop quiz. It's just a question. Just it's something that we have that has been mentioned many times.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
try.
Okay. Hey, and that's what it's all about. Just trying.
Okay.
That's all we can do. So I know when I about the managing complexity. What does this sound like to you? As far as project and breaking them down into manageable pieces, what resource did I say was a good tool for breaking things down into manageable pieces on a project?
Um, I think it was the one you didn't have. Was it the work breakdown structure? Is
Bingo.
that was
Bingo.
right? Oh my
That
God.
was right.
I didn't even
That
see
was
it.
right.
Wow.
That was right. Yes, bingo, bingo, bingo. You got it. Um, and I didn't have it. You're right. But I will get it to you right after this consultation, along with all the other you know, resources that we went over today. But yes, the work breakdown structure. And so to tack along with this, so to tackle this complexity, I took a systems thinking approach and I created a comprehensive,
Work breakdown structure.
absolutely work breakdown structure that capture all the interdependencies between tasks and stakeholders. I use tools like and you won't know. Well, you know what? You may know because just like I said, project management, it applies to different fields. You probably you said business administration was your undergrad.
Just business.
So sorry, business. You all probably use this in business. Have you used a Gantt chart?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so we use tools like Gantt charts and Kanban boards to track progress and ensure that nothing fell through the cracks.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then see that's cool. I mean, I know you don't know if you for sure used it, but you'll realize that a lot of the tools and resources used in project management, you most likely used it in other fields and other areas. Um, see. Yeah, and I think with complexity, one important lesson that I took from it is frequent communication, open, honest, transparent, frequent communication with stakeholders and everyone on the project team. A lot of things get lost in translation. A lot of misunderstandings can arise with just not communicating. But my experience, that communication key is so important. Making sure there's an open line of no matter, what's going on and what again, communication, communication, communication. You never know what anybody is going through in life. They may be smiling, they may be whatever, but that communication key can really break down a lot of barriers and bring a lot of understanding. So that um I use that a lot. Um as you can see, I communicate. Do you have any questions? Hmm? Communication.
This is a form of communication.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something was going on right here. I didn't see you. Oh, you were using nonverbal communication. All
Yeah.
right. Oh, all righty then. No worries. All right. Next, we're going to move right along to risk. And this is defined as the uncertainty that may impact project objectives. To me, risk management is about proactive identification and mitigation. It's not about avoiding risk, although that is one method that can be used depending on the situation is to avoid the risk, but also managing it to ensure the project stays on track. Um, there's some risks that are minuscule, but just because they're small, we don't need to ignore them. We need to put them in our risk register log and make sure that we are just frequently checking back on it, just because a risk that initially was small can do what? It can grow. I'm sorry. Thought we were in the Q&A mode. But yeah, so a small risk can definitely grow. So we just need to, like, we don't have to be on it watching it every second, but we need to make sure that we are checking back on that risk. Yeah. In my professional experience, I've been involved in projects with significant risk factors, such as tight deadlines, budget constraints, and time is money, right? Or new technology implementation. One notable example was a project where I had to lead the deployment of a logistics platform. The risk was high because we were integrating new software, and where new software, there's always going to be some issues with new software, and there were uncertainties in how they would interact. So what I did is I first conducted a thorough risk assessment to manage the risk, identifying potential issues early on. And then I created a risk register and held the risk review meetings with the team to ensure we had contingency plans in place. Because again, like I said, you can plan, but you sometimes you just can't plan for the unknown, right? But if you create a risk register and think about all the risks that can potentially happen, then you can create contingency plans to make sure that, hey, if this risk happens, hey, what can we do to kind of minimize the outcome or negative impact. In my graduate courses, I learned the importance of identifying risk and the role of risk response strategies, such as mitigation, avoidance, and acceptance. And so that's what I was kind of talking on earlier, that it's not always about avoiding risk. Some other things, you can mitigate risk, you can accept risk if the risk is not. So some people say, you know what, we're just going to accept it and it may happen or it may not happen. And if it does happen, what are the steps we're going to take if it does, they have steps in place for that. Um, and by prioritizing risk and establishing clear action plans, I was able on that project I was talking about earlier, was able to reduce the potential negative impacts, and the project was delivered successfully, um, even under challenging circumstances. Any questions on risk?
Congratulations. No. Oh, Lord. This is a lot. Project management is a lot.
Oh, it's loaded, but I hope that is it piquing your interest a little bit? Like,
Yeah. We can go to part 11.
all right, so now we are at part 11 and we're almost to the end of our PMI principles. Um, and this PMI principle is adaptability and resiliency. And according to PMI, adaptability is the ability to respond to changing conditions. Again, what we've been talking about, you have to be able to adapt to your environment, adapt to project changes, and then resiliency. In the event that you weren't able to adapt fast enough and things happen, were you resilient? Were you able to quickly recover? So that's what resiliency is, the ability to absorb impacts and recover quickly from a setback or failure. And a focus on outcomes rather than output facilitates adaptability. In my experience, projects are rarely executed exactly as planned. I found that my ability to adapt is what often determines success. For example, during a project to streamline internal communications at my company, we faced unexpected delays due to chain issues, due to our volunteers were just not ready for that, and so Initially, our project plan had a rigid timeline, but then I realized quickly we needed to adapt to the change in circumstances. We couldn't just force that change on them. We had to just evaluate our stakeholders and understand that we have to implement some more training. We have to make sure that they are comfortable. Because we could have just said, hey, you know what? We're implementing this now. But then there would have been other issues afterwards where we would have still been set back. We would have been doing rework to try to help them understand. And so using the agile framework, I enjoy using. Are you familiar with agile, waterfall?
Yeah, that's big in business.
Vegan business? Awesome, awesome. See, I'm telling you, this is going to be amazing for you to integrate that project management with your business degree. It's going to just be like a double sworded sword, or however they say it.
Mhm.
Having that. Yeah.
That must be an older thing. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Never.
Oh, Google it when you get off of here. When you see, be like, oh, okay, that's what she meant. Yeah, double headed sword.
Oh, squirrel.
Double-headed sword, like a sword. I'm not able to say it. I'm having
I think
to
the
speak.
W is. I think the W is silent. I think it's just sword.
Oh,
I is
yes,
that what
that's
you?
what I'm saying. Double-headed sword.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. I love to learn. And that's what it's about, learning. Look at the, yeah, student becoming a teacher. But anyways,
Mhm.
okay. So using the agile framework, which I explored in my graduate coursework, I transitioned the project from traditional waterfall approach to a more iterative approach. And what this is instead of doing everything up front and then coming to the end and realizing like, oh my gosh, we just wasted all this time and we did not even fulfill what the project intended value was supposed to be. With using agile framework and iterative approaches, you're doing it in segments before you get to the end of the project and able to evaluate it at the end of each sprint, to say, okay, let the what is it called? The clients come in and say, or the users, okay, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for. Now we can move on to the next part. And then in each part, we're getting the okay before we move on. So by the time we reach the end, we're more likely to have met exactly their needs. Does that make sense? Instead of getting all the way there and then realizing, well, oops, now we
Yeah.
have to go all the way back to step A. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Yes. So, flexibility of agile methodologies help keep the project moving forward despite the setbacks. Adapting to change rather than resisting, it has allowed us to stay responsive to shifting priorities, leading to a better project outcome. And then with resiliency, again, it refers to the ability to recover from setbacks. A recent project that I led to improve employee training with the organization, that's the one I was talking about with the new system, encountered several obstacles, including staff turnover and sudden changes in the project scope. However, instead of letting these setbacks derail the project, I implemented a strategy to keep the momentum going. We have to keep going. We're not going back, we're going forward. And so, one critical action I took was setting up a continuous feedback loop with my team. And after every sprint, I mentioned that word just a minute ago, or phase of the project, we
I
discuss
work
what
in
went
business. I
well.
mean, I have a business degree. I know what a sprint is.
You do? That's what I'm talking about. See, it's all coming together. So after every sprint or phase of the project, we discuss what went well and where we face challenges. You'll hear this word a lot. That's called retrospectives. So we go over what went well, what could have been done better, so that the next time we don't make those same mistakes, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So this feedback helped us identify areas of improvement and adjust our approach in future phases. Additionally, I applied concepts from my leadership and team dynamics coursework to ensure my team remained motivated and engaged throughout. In the end, despite we had challenges, we completed the project, and thanks to our ability to bounce back from setbacks and learn from the experience. That's that adaptability and resiliency. Any questions?
No, Miss Crystal, I do have a hard stop in about 15 minutes. So just wanted to let you know.
Okay. All right. Then. No problem. All right. So the next is change. So PMI defines change as a transition from the current state to the intended future state created by the project outcomes. Structured approach to change helps individuals, groups, and the organization transition from the current state to desired state in the future. Change can originate from internal influences or external sources. Enabling change can be challenging as you know what? I'm going to stop here because this is up here and you can read.
It's gonna be challenging.
And then let me know if you have any questions based on that. And I'm just going to discuss a little bit about change. And you know what? I'm going to actually, you have been so amazing. So I'm going to send you these slides. And please don't share them with anyone else, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, because you've been very patient and amazing. Technology difficulties and all. Okay, so I've worked on projects where change was both expected and unexpected, right? One key project involved moving to a cloud-based infrastructure, and managing change was extremely essential, right? Because we're going from somewhere where we can easily upload our information to now cloud. Again, we have older people, even younger people like myself have a hard time with transitioning and learning how to use these different tools. So it's very important to manage that change effectively, right? And so I use the change control process that I learned in my graduate coursework to monitor any changes, the project to the project scope, and also ensure that all stakeholders were on board with the new direction. I also focused on clear communication throughout the process, which I learned was critical for implementing change, and explaining the reasons behind the change and involving the team in decision making, minimize resistance, and keep the project moving smoothly. So, the one thing I do want to touch on really quickly is that last part about involving the team in decision making. That really does help with minimizing resistance, even if they are completely against the project, involving them and letting them know that, hey, I do care about your feedback. I do care about you and how this project will affect you. It softens them up a little bit, right? Um, and helps it move a smoother. And that communication piece is so critical. Do you have any questions on change?
No.
Okay, awesome. We're gonna move right along. Thank you so much, Mr. Shea. All right, 13. So now I'm just gonna go over. Let's just sit here and just celebrate. We made it through all the principles. We made it through all the PMI principles. So now this will go fast because this is just my personal project management identity. I'm sorry, we're not there yet. We're going over project management identity and code of ethics. And so now we'll share my professional identity as a project manager and how it aligns with the PMI. Oh, I am, of course, with the PMI code of ethics. And I will also provide specific examples from my academic coursework, and experiences on how these values shape my approach to project management. Honestly, I discussed this a lot going through each of the PMI principles. I think we really already went over that in depth, but the code of ethics for PM is responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. And we definitely touched on all of those in some sort of way. To begin with my professional project management identity, it is grounded in leadership, sustainability, and collaboration. I aim to approach each project with a clear sense of purpose and integrity, ensuring that I deliver successful outcomes and consider the long-term impacts of my decisions, right? And not just looking at how the project or how my actions are going to affect right now. I'm looking at how it's going to affect long term and who it is going to affect long term, right? Whether working with a team to develop a work breakdown structure or conducting a life cycle assessment for sustainable projects, I strive to balance technical expertise and ethical leadership. Um, as far as the PMI code of ethics, it outlines the four core values, which again was responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. And these values guide decision making, foster collaboration, ensure ethical conduct throughout the project lifecycle. Now we're just going to do a quick deep dive into each of these values and see how they shape my approach for project management. And while we're going along, see how these may tie into your approach as a project manager. And if you have any questions, please stop me, okay?
Are you
All right.
ready?
Okay. So I'm gonna go. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't know if you was ready.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. No, I am still here and I am going to go over. I'm going to go over them really quickly. High level. I know you said you're on a time pressure. Responsibility. Responsibility ensures accountability for my actions and my decisions throughout the project. This includes owning my work, fulfilling my duties, and committing to project success. In my community gardens project, my sustainability management plan, I evaluated the project's environmental, social, economic impacts, and ensured the sustainability goals were met. Aligned with the PMI Code of Ethics, I took full responsibility for all elements of the plan, including identifying roles, resources, and KPI, which is key performance indicators to monitor progress. By being transparent and accountable, I help to minimize the risk of any unforeseen environmental social consequences. Again, we cannot account for all things that happen, so we have to be prepared for those unforeseen consequences that may happen. Moving right along. Okay, so for respect, in my project management experience, respect, um, that ties in with creating that team charter, right? That sets the tone for the environment of our group, right? We set those role responsibilities and what we're going to be doing, timeline, schedule, so that we can stay on it. So if anything happens where there's any confusion, we can kind of go back to that and let that be our, let's go back, what do we have in there, and then kind of use that as a reference to follow. In my experience, I respect my colleagues by valuing their input and ensuring everyone's strengths and skills are aligned with the project needs, right? So instead of just placing someone on a different area of project, just because, let's evaluate what their strengths are, what their needs, and what they can really add to this project, right? So as a team process manager, I establish clear roles and responsibilities so that everyone is engaged and respected to their contributions. This allows us to build a robust, collaborative environment and achieve our collective goals. Fairness. One key artifact that I used for fairness was that Heathrow T5 stakeholder register that I was telling you about. I work with my team to identify stakeholders from case studies and assess their expectations, requirements, and potential influence on a project. I ensured that all voices were heard and no stakeholder perspectives were overlooked. This helped ensure that we could engage all relevant parties equitably and manage their concerns in a way that contributed to the project's success. Now, last, honesty. A great example of how I apply honesty was in my Machiando Well risk management plan and assessment. In the case study, I thoroughly analyzed the risks associated with the project, providing my honest findings and my honest recommendations to mitigate those risks, right? We can be dishonest just for it to pass whatever inspection, but that makes no sense because when the outcome happens, we'll have that to fall back on. I wasn't afraid to highlight areas where the project could improve even when uncomfortable. Because again, it makes no sense to do that. You have to stand firm on what you believe in and what you know is right. As project manager, you must remain ethical at all time. And so this allowed my team and stakeholders to make informed decisions that ultimately contributed to a more effective and sustainable project. All right, so moving right along. Connection. So I will now discuss how the PMI ethics principles align with my work in my graduate courses. For example, in my community garden and my life cycle assessments, I demonstrated responsibility for conducting a thorough impact assessment, ensuring that I wasn't just thinking about short-term outcomes, and I was very much taking in consideration the long-term implications for the environment. Also embody fairness by ensuring that all relevant factors were considered when evaluating the potential sustainability impacts of the project. In my community garden, P5 Impact Analyst, I work to assess how the project would affect the planet, people, and prosperity. And I maintain honesty and reporting my findings, even when some potential impacts were negative. By ensuring transparency, I upheld the ethical standards of honesty and responsibility. Additionally, I embrace fairness in my management resource acquisition plan by ensuring that resources were allocated based on the need and capability, and I made sure I managed human and material resources without biases or favoritism. As I reflect on my journey as a project manager, I see how the PMI Code of Ethics has shaped my approach to leadership and decision making and helped me grow as a professional in the project management world. Each artifact that I've added in here, I've seen how it added to my journey, and I will definitely be able to continue to use those, or I definitely do use those now to help others and also in my projects that I worked on. I've learned oh, I'm so sorry. I've learned the importance of holding myself accountable to ethical standards, and I continue to strive to be a project manager who leads with integrity, fosters collaborations, and creates positive, lasting impacts. All right, we are getting to the end here. How long do we have on the clock, Mr. Shea?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Awesome. That's all we're gonna need. All
All
right, so
seven.
hmm?
All seven.
All right, Mr. Shea. So now we're gonna go over my short term and my long term goals. And again, I hope you can make some connections here while I go along. In the short term, I aim to refine and strengthen the skills I've already developed during my graduate course and project experiences. One of my goals is to improve my ability to manage project teams more effectively. I think that honestly, this short term goal I can probably put down a little bit lower because I think I am doing an amazing job with managing projects just because that listening aspect and making sure they are valued and adjusting based on their needs, but not to the point where it's affecting the business value. Through my leadership growth paper, I reflected on my leadership journey and identified areas to grow further. And I have been actively working on that since completion of my leadership growth paper. And in particular, I want to focus on increasing my emotional intelligence because that is something that we can say we have done, but when we come into those different instances, and we don't react the way that we want to react, that's where that plays a key factor. Not just saying like, hey, I know better, but actually doing better when I get into those instances. And being able to be an effective leader is being able to be emotional intelligence, even when your emotions and when you feel some type of way, still keeping that leadership role and making sure you're helping those under you effectively, not letting your emotions take control and just kind of not continue to be a leader. So you could just read along the rest of that and we will move right along. Okay, another short goal is to expand my knowledge of sustainable project management. Again, hmm, there's something called greenwashing project management that I in my graduate studies that I went over with my class, and it's talking about it, where you're just talking about doing this and talk about doing sustainable practices, but not actually following with action. So that's one of the things that I am trying to actively make sure I'm doing is actually taking the steps to be a sustainable project manager. And one of the plans that I have in the next year, but actually I want to do it within this month, is to become a green project management certification. And then hopefully, if you decide that you want to do the project management field, I can kind of help mentor you in getting your certification as well as this green project management certification as well. All good?
Yes.
Okay. Now the short-term goals, I want to continue to enhance my skills in stakeholder engagement. Not only just managing stakeholders, I want to make sure I'm keeping them actively engaged at all times in all scenarios. I want to make sure that they feel like they are actively involved in a project. that they are accountable for the project and actions that they take will affect the project. So that's another goal that I want to be working on actively, like every day that I'm engaging with my stakeholders. And I want to do this with hosting workshops, seminars, so that I can gain further insights into conflict resolution, negotiation techniques, and build strong relationships, and also host some workshops with them as well. All right, on to my long-term goals. Looking ahead for my long-term goals, I want to become a leader in project management with expertise in risk management, sustainability, and strategic decision-making skills. I want to be able to emphasize again on that sustainability aspect. So I know I have that as my short-term goals, but I also want to continue to build on that in my long-term goals. I'm looking for taking on more complex projects where I lead multidisciplinary terms across different industries. And I want to explore risk management. So I analyze project risks and propose mitigation strategies in that Machiana Well risk management plan and assessment. But as I progress in my career, I want to deepen my understanding of organizational risk management. I know one of the classes I took in my graduate degree was called OGL, and that was really a nice course. It was about organizational leadership and all of those different things. We can go into that later on. I have a very good book on that I can provide for you later on. And so I want to become more proficient in assessing risk and making sure that I'm implementing that in the corporate strategies and long-term objectives, ensuring that every project I manage contributes to the organizational's um, goals. Any questions? I know I'm going a little fast right now, but I want to make sure if you have any questions, I'm addressing it. Okay, so another long-term goal is to gain global project management experience. So with all of those different steps taken with green project management, sustainable project management, I want to make sure that I'm applying that knowledge and ethical leadership in projects globally. Um, I don't want to assume Oduwale, that's my last name, right? So I want to make sure that I'm taking those practice across abroad. And a long-term goal that I have is I want to make sure I want to go across to Nigeria and make sure that sustainability is being practiced in project management and other practices as well. So I'm hoping that I can highlight the importance of balancing environmental, social, and economic systems. Sorry.
I thought you sneezed. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes, but bless me. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So in the future, I like to work on a large scale projects, focus on addressing global challenges, because that's very important. We just can't sit back and say, oh, well, things is going good here. Well, it's not going good everywhere. So we should be able to put our feet on the ground and take our expertise and our training and our knowledge and spread it everywhere. And right now, what am I doing? I'm mentoring you, I'm coaching you to make sure that you can, you know, go into the field, feet on the ground, and really just shine. So I want to continue to mentor and coach emerging project managers, which we are doing right now. So that long-term goal can be checked off. And having benefit from guidance through my journey, I want to make sure that I'm able to share that knowledge and experiences with others. I feel that is so important. Because the best leader is the one who trains their replacement from day one, making sure that they're actively engaging in professional communities and offering free advice and mentorship to those starting their careers in project management. You knew this was a free consultation, right? We don't charge.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things we're very grateful for the platform that we have, and we want to make sure that the same free help that we receive, we're giving it to others free of charge. So you can just go out there and throw it. Um, so, in conclusion, my commitment is to continuously learn. I feel like once you stop learning, you're just existing. So, I want to continue to learn and remain central to my career growth throughout my short and long-term goals. I seek to engage with project management leaders and even people that are not leaders in the project management world. I want to connect with them and see how we can collaborate with our skills and just really grow in the industry and make sure we're implementing best practices and share those things. I'm also planning to regularly reflect on my leadership journey. I want to make sure I'm being the best leader that I can be for those under me and those that I come in contact with. So with that being said, I love feedback and I would love to get your feedback after this consultation call. You'll receive a short, brief survey, briefer than this consultation, of course. very brief, and we would love to get your feedback and understand how you felt about it. And there's anything that can be improved on, we would love for you to give us that. Um, so you can read through the rest. Is there any other questions that you have for us?
No, thank you.
Okay. We're gonna, like I said, you will receive an email. It should be within the next hour or so. And also, would you like to set your follow-up consultation with us, or you'll give us a
I'll call y'all. I'll call you.
you call us? All right, awesome. Well, it was so nice meeting with you, Deshay, and I'm so glad we were just able to hop on this call today. It has been a pleasure, and I hope that I was able to lead you in a different direction and you feel better. And like you said, you were frustrated at the beginning of the call. I hope you kind of can take a deep breath knowing that you are on the right path and amazing things are coming soon.
Thank you.
All right. And also, I want to give a shout out to my mentor. Um,
Oops, sorry. I, I couldn't hear you. Hello?
yes, hello. Can you hear me, Deshay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. That'll be all. That'll be all. Thank you so much again for taking the time to hop on this call for me. Thank you, Dr. Chandler, for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you so much for being a great guidance in this class and continuing to work with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How do I stop this video? Okay. Oh.